Okay, so you want to know about becoming a rolling stock engineering drafter. Well, we've got blueprints, career guides, even some AI interview prep stuff, and let me tell you, it is a wild ride.
It really is. It's where you take those engineers' dreams, those high-speed locomotives, and turn them into, well, reality.
Exactly. This role catcher guide called it creating the blueprint, but it's so much more. You're talking about the precise technical drawings, dimensions, fastening methods, the whole 9 yards, and get this, all through specialized software.
Oh, yeah. And that software is no joke. The level of detail in these 3D models, especially with something as complex as a train, it's incredible.
Right. It's not just drawing lines. This is serious engineering.
Hmm.
This guide even mentions, like, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, even materials engineering as helpful degrees.
It's fascinating how it all comes together. The materials they use, the
No,
manufacturing processes, even things like safety regulations, all factored into the drawing.
no kidding. And speaking of which, this guide mentions CAD skills being non-negotiable. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. It's all about software like Acacia, SolidWorks. Imagine having to model a train bogie with all its moving parts in 3D. That's the level we're talking about.
Wow. It sounds like you need to be a lifelong learner in this field, too. New software coming out all the time, new materials, new everything.
It's true, always moving and evolving, just like the trains themselves. A good drafter, they're always up to date on the latest and greatest.
So it's not just drawing lines, you're solving design problems, collaborating with those engineers.
Yeah.
This even mentioned leading a team someday.
Yeah, you really get to see a project through from start to finish, from the initial idea all the way to seeing it roll off the factory floor.
Speaking of those initial ideas, what's that collaboration process like between a drafter and an engineer?
Okay, so picture a design meeting for a new, let's say, high-speed locomotive.
That
The engineers got their vision right. But the drafter, they're right there asking those tough questions. How do we manufacture this? What about weight distribution, material strength, safety regulations? They're the voice of practicality.
So it's a real back and forth.
Exactly, a true partnership. And that deep understanding of engineering, it's crucial. Let's say you're detailing a fastening method for, I don't know, the train body. You can't just use any old weld. You need to consider the stress, the strain, especially at high speeds. Are there special welding techniques required? Material fatigue gets really specific really fast.
Wow. That's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
It sounds challenging, but also, incredibly rewarding.
Mm.
This guide even talks about troubleshooting design flaws. Can you give me an example?
Sure. Imagine you're working on the door mechanism for a new passenger train, right? You're creating the drawings, putting in the specifications, and something's just not adding up. Maybe the hinge material, it wouldn't last with all that opening and closing, or the dimensions, they pose a safety hazard if something gets stuck. Catching those problems early on, that's critical.
That's a great point. So you're not just blindly following instructions, you're really using your expertise to,
Yeah.
potentially prevent big problems down the road.
Exactly. Being meticulous, detail-oriented, thinking 10 steps ahead, that's what makes a good rolling stock engineering drafter.
Okay, so we've talked about design, problem solving,
Mm.
but what about actually landing a job? One thing that really struck me was this whole thing about AI being used to evaluate candidates.
Yeah, it's not science fiction anymore. Algorithms, they're everywhere, sifting through resumes, looking for those keywords.
Wild, right? So no more generic resumes. This guide even says you've got to tailor your application specifically for these AI systems.
Exactly. You've got to speak their language. What are they programmed to prioritize?
Mm.
For a rolling stock engineering drafter, it's all about those math skills,
Yeah.
that meticulous attention to detail, and of course that mastery of CAD software.
Makes sense. You got to think like an algorithm to beat the algorithm.
In a way, yeah. And a strong portfolio.
Hmm.
Can't forget that. Show them those technical drawings, design projects, let them see what you're capable of, not just read about it.
Okay, so you've made it past the AI gatekeeper. You've landed an interview. What kind of questions are they going to throw at you?
Well, this guide actually had some great examples. One that comes up a lot is describe your experience with CAD software. This is your chance to go deep. Don't just list software names. Talk about specific projects, the tools you used, even those really advanced workflows you've mastered.
So instead of just proficient in CATIA, you're saying, hey, I use CATIA to model this super complex assembly for a high-speed train, something like that.
Exactly. Another one they love is how do you ensure the accuracy and completeness of your drawings? It's all about your process, your attention to detail. How do you catch those errors? Do you have a quality control system? Any special techniques they want to hear about it?
That's really helpful. Now, this guide also mentioned some pretty interesting career paths for these drafters. It's not just about climbing the ladder, right?
Oh, not at all. That's what's so exciting about this field. You can specialize, you know? Maybe you become the go-to person for, I don't know, high-speed rail, or maybe you're all about freight trains.
So you become a real expert in that specific niche.
Exactly. And that specialized knowledge, it opens doors. Major manufacturers, engineering firms, even government agencies. Some drafters, they even move into project management, leading teams, overseeing huge projects.
So lots of room to grow to really make it your own.
Absolutely. And then there's technology, always changing the game. Automation, AI, these are becoming more and more important. Drafters with those skills, high demand. We're already seeing roles focused on data analysis, simulations, even, get this, virtual reality design.
Hold on, virtual reality design for trains. What does that even look like?
Oh, it's amazing. It's so much more immersive for those design reviews. And it allows for much more collaborative design between, the engineers and the drafters. They can all work together in that virtual environment. It's really changing how trains are designed and built.
Wow. Okay, so we've talked about the skills, the career paths, even the impact of new technology. But I'm curious, what are some of the biggest challenges facing the industry right now from your perspective?
Okay.
So we've talked about the skills, the career paths, even the impact of new technology. But I'm curious, what are some of the biggest challenges facing the industry right now from your perspective?
Oh, that's a big one. Well, one of the biggest has got to be sustainability, right? The whole world's moving towards greener transportation, and the train industry, it's no different.
So we're talking like lighter trains that use less energy, maybe new materials that are, I don't know, more eco-friendly.
Exactly. Lightweight materials, alternative fuels, energy-efficient designs. It's all huge right now. And it's not just new trains either. We've got to figure out how to retrofit the old ones, make them more sustainable too.
Right, because those aren't going away anytime soon. It seems like there's a real opportunity here for these drafters to really make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what's so exciting about this field right now. It's not just about, technical drawings. It's about being part of something bigger, something that could really change things.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so sustainability is huge. Are there any other big challenges on the horizon?
Well, you can't talk about the future of trains without talking about automation, right? Self-driving cars are getting all the headlines, but autonomous trains, they're coming.
Wow. So does that mean like designing trains without a driver's cab, without all those control panels?
It could happen. And think about what that means for the design, right? The possibilities for passenger comfort, cargo space. It's a whole new ballgame.
That's wild. So between sustainability and automation, it sounds like there is no shortage of challenges and opportunities for someone looking to get into this field.
For sure. And the people who are adaptable, the ones who are always learning, always pushing the boundaries, they're the ones who are going to shape the future of trains.
Well said. And on that note, it's time for us to pull into the station for this deep dive into the world of rolling stock engineering drafting. We've covered a lot, from those detailed technical drawings to the future of the entire industry. It's been a fascinating ride.
Don't forget, this is where precision meets creativity. With the right skills and a little bit of passion, the possibilities, they're endless.
Couldn't agree more. So as you're thinking about this career path, ask yourself, what kind of impact do you want to make on the future of transportation? Something to think about. Until next time, happy drafting.